I'm Christina Aguayo in Dallas, and here are your top stories. Joe Biden spent $11 million in taxpayer money to provide Secret Service protection for Hunter. This after failing to provide enough protection for President Donald Trump through 2 assassination attempts because of staffing shortages and lack of resources. According to documents obtained by the Center to Advance Security in America, aka CASA, through a FOIA request, Hunter Biden was taking lavish trips with heavy Secret Service protection on the taxpayer's dime. They included $9.3 million for hotel stays, $1.1 million for air travel, and $600,000 for car rentals for Hunter security detail. The documents show that while the Secret Service faced reported staffing and funding shortages under Biden, Hunter was traveling and staying in high-end hotels. Multiple trips were for Hunter and his wife, including $18,000 for a 2-day trip to Santa Barbara, $10,000 for one night in Arlington, Virginia, more than $170,000 for a 2-day trip to Wilmington, Delaware, more than $250,000 on 13 hotels for a Hunter family day trip to New York City, and nearly $650,000 for a trip to Santa Ynez, California for 6 hotels. The bulk of the spending, 95% of the total, happened in California, where Hunter lived during that 3-year period. However, the first son also took lavish trips to exclusive destinations. For instance, a Thanksgiving trip to Nantucket, Massachusetts in 2022 cost taxpayers hundreds of thousands of dollars, with specific line items including $120,000 for hotels that cost $740 a night, $120,000 on government travel cards, and $10,000 for golf cart rentals to shuttle the security detail. Another Nantucket Thanksgiving trip in 2023 was even pricier, totaling more than $500,000. This included $198,000 for stays at the Fairway Nantucket Hotel, $133,000 for rooms at the White Elephant Hotel, $26,000 for ferry transportation, and additional costs for car rentals and other travel expenses. Other trips included a visit to South Africa, where a stay at the Silo Hotel in Cape Town cost $14,000 a night, and a trip to the Virgin Islands. After the South Africa trip was exposed, President Donald Trump revoked Hunter security detail. All of this while Joe Biden denied a Secret Service detail to then presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr., saying they just didn't have the resources. Over 200 children, some as young as 2, were found living on Skid Row, which is a half-square-mile area housing more than 4,000 homeless people. Many live in tents or vehicles along Town Avenue in an area that's filled with open drug use, crime, and human waste. Reports indicate that children are playing in contaminated street pools or water-filled storage bins. The Union Rescue Mission, the only Skid Row shelter accepting families, houses the majority of these children, but it is overwhelmed. In 2024, the shelter reported serving over 400 families. However, it started charging a fee to the families that were there for more than 90 days, forcing many to go back to the streets. Clean water is scarce, with organizations like Water Drop LA delivering more than 1,000 gallons weekly to residents, underscoring the lack of basic infrastructure. This, as Governor Gavin Newsom has repeatedly touted California as the richest state in America, pointing to its $3.9 trillion GDP and status as the world's 5th largest economy. However, the homeless issue, specifically the Skid Row crisis, points to a disconnected governor. Despite California's wealth and the tens of billions given to NGOs to help with the issue, the state's homelessness crisis has gotten worse. There are more than 180,000 homeless people in California, the highest number in the nation, with critics saying that Newsom has funneled billions into progressive housing programs with no results. The ActBlue scandal is heating up as several Democrats are implicated in alleged funneling scheme fueled by illegal contributions worth millions of dollars. As of the 2020 election cycle, campaign finance records reveal major contributions from individuals to several Democratic candidates, including John Ossoff, with $1.17 million in individual contributions, representing a campaign tied to the Democratic Senatorial Campaign Committee, or DSCC. Raphael Warnock, who received $1.2 million in individual contributions, also linked to the DSCC. Mark Kelly, listed with $1.14 million in individual contributions associated with the DSCC, and Ruben Gallego, who garnered $1.24 million in individual contributions connected to the DCCC. The claims point to a so-called Smurf Bucks scheme where small donations are allegedly used to mask illegal contributions, possibly linked to Mexican drug cartels. Other Democrat entities and people such as Stacey Abrams' far right, the DSCC, DCCC, and figures like George Soros and Reid Hoffman are also implicated in the FEC data that allegedly exposes the exploitation of campaign finance laws. Another murder is coming to the forefront that was ignored by the mainstream media. 22-year-old college student Logan Federico was murdered in Columbia, South Carolina in May, but nobody heard about it. The suspect, Alexander Dickey, a 30-year-old career criminal with a history of nearly 40 prior arrests, allegedly broke into the home where Federico was staying, then shot and killed her. Federico, an aspiring teacher from North Carolina, was visiting friends at the University of South Carolina. She was staying at the rental home on Cypress Street when the attack happened. Dickey allegedly burglarized a home near the rental, stealing keys, a gun, and other items. He then entered the rental home where Federico was sleeping, stole her credit cards, and shot her. Authorities have described the attack as a random act of violence, with Federico as an unintended victim. Dickey took off in a stolen vehicle using the stolen cards for a shopping spree across multiple counties. Dickey's rap sheet shows 40 arrests, including charges for robbery, resisting arrest, and multiple burglaries. In 2023, he pleaded guilty to third-degree burglary, which should have been his third such conviction. Instead of a lengthy prison term, he was sentenced to 5 years but served only 411 days, receiving credit for time served and probation. His probation was completed in February, just 3 months before Federico's murder. He now faces charges including murder, 2 counts of first-degree burglary, possession of a weapon during a violent crime, and credit card theft. He was denied bail and faces life behind bars. That's what you need to know. In Dallas, Christina Aguayo.